What role does the so-called law of karma play in the law of attraction? Well, let's develop that. Karma in Eastern mysticism was an idea that whatever you do, positively or negatively, is going to create positive or negative karma. And that's based on the law of causality. And it's based on the assumption that your actions are the cause of something positive or negative. Let me first develop something there. Have you ever had anything in your life where somebody did something that you thought was really mean or negative, and you put a label on it and you go, well, they're going to have bad karma. And then days, weeks, months, years, you found out that that was the greatest thing that happened. If they hadn't have done that, you wouldn't have gone on your trajectory and you gained from it. And then you went back and go, I'm very grateful for them. And then what happened to karma? The karma was because you labeled it as something negative initially, but then when you found the positives to it, the karma somehow was dissolved because you didn't see it that way anymore. Or if you had some thing happen and you thought was really terrific and you, oh, that's good karma, because you labeled it that way, you moralized it and put it into a positive or a negative, and then you found out that there were downsides days, weeks, months, years later, and you went, that guy has bad karma because they misled me. Well, anytime you live in the world of the false attribution biases or false causalities, where you take credit or blame for something you did, you assume that what you did caused more positives and negatives to somebody, or you assume what you did caused more negatives than positive to somebody, you have an incomplete awareness. I was really, really tough on my child one time, and at the time, somebody who was a friend of theirs was watching and said, God, he was mean. And at the time, and then my child came to me and said, I'm glad you did that. You were actually being nice to me, even though I couldn't see it at the time. So was I nice or I mean? When I'm tough on somebody, is that actually making them more independent and stronger? Or if I'm really easy on them and supporting them, am I making them weaker? Which one is it? Is it positive, negative? These are murky and illusions. And causality is murky and elusive. What is the cause of things? We can go back to a chain of causes all the way back to an infinite regress to the first cause, if there is such a thing. And so the causality wheel, the wheel of samsara, the karmic wheel or whatever, is anywhere in our life where we've lopsided our perceptions and seen a positive without a negative in our actions towards others or others' actions towards us, and not really seen both sides of an event. When we see both sides of an event, we're off the karmic wheel because we're no longer giving credit or blame to ourselves or others. We're no longer thinking they did this to me. Anytime you hear it says, well, you make me happy, you're separating cause from effect. And you're thinking they caused your feelings. It's not them that caused your feelings. It's your perception of what they did that's caused your feelings. And until you can actually realize your perceptions of what's going on is the cause of your feelings, not them, you'll be caught in the karmic wheel. You'll give them credit or blame. And the same thing for yourself. If you think you did something that caused somebody else's feelings, you're going to give yourself credit or blame. And you're trapped and distracted by the moral hypocrisies and the lopsided awarenesses instead of seeing both sides of an event. Every event has two sides. There's advantages and disadvantages no matter what happens. In fact, all the behaviors in life that we thought were terrible, they're still here. That's because somehow in evolution they still serve a purpose, but we don't see the purpose. We are morally label it there and we think it's bad, and the other ones are good, and that's because we're incomplete in our awareness. A fully objective view sees both sides simultaneous. And when you see both sides simultaneously, there's no causality, there's no blame, there's no credit, there's just what is, not what ought to be or should have been. So the idea that this karmic idea, this polarity of perceptions where we have false causalities, are distractions from being present, distractions being purposeful, distractions from being prioritized, distractions from being really, really purposeful. The second we are actually transcend that and we're focused, we increase the probability of achieving things because we're no longer attaching to one side, avoiding and seeking. Our amygdala is the one that catches us in this so-called karmic wheel. And our executive center focuses on something objective and transcends it and finds reason and transcends the labels, the emotional labels. So anytime we're in the emotional karmic wheel, we're going to be distracted from really doing and fulfilling our mission. So instead of putting people on pedestals or pits or putting ourselves in pits or pedestals to compensate, Why not put them and you in the heart and get focused on what's inspiring so you can be grateful for life and grateful for the people? When you're doing something that you really love doing, that's highest in priority, that's really most meaningful in your life, at the end of the day, no matter what happens at home, you're resilient. But if you're doing lower priority things and you're amygdala and you're into judgments and you're putting out fires, you come home, you're a bear. So if you prioritize your life, if you fill it with something deeply meaningful, if you go after what is really purposeful and really inspiring in your life, and you stay focused and appreciate both sides of an event and know how to intuitively find the upsides to what you think are down and the downside to what you think is up, and bring them back into seeing both sides simultaneously, you transcend the so-called karmic blaming and crediting and the wheel, and you get off the wheel and you get off to transcending it. You're off the samsara wheel and you're on the dharmic path. The dharmic path is the path of purpose in life, the meaning path, the Buddhist path, the enlightened path, if you will. So the law of attraction is an expression of living in our executive center and being prioritized and focusing and seeing synchronicities in life and being present and purposeful and powerful and focused. It's not getting distracted by the labels. As long as we're distracted by the labels, our power of the law of attraction will be lessened. So instead of labeling something and being distracted by labels, go find the other side of the equation. When you think something's terrible, go find the terrific in it. If you think something's terrific, go find the terrible in it. Balance it out and see that there's nothing but love. All else was illusion. And you'll be on the law of attraction and the dharmic path, not the karmic wheel. So I just wanted to share that with you. And just in case you thought that somehow, how does that karmic wheel affect the law of attraction, or how does the law of karma affect it? Well, the law of karma is there if you want it. If you want to get trapped in judgments and illusions and labels, then you'll be there. Or you can transcend it and learn to love and find out both sides of things, because everything has two sides. And if you see both simultaneously, you're liberated and you're able to go out and focus on manifesting what you really want. I'm Dr. Demartini. Enjoy.